In one of my previous videos, I've reviewed the Epiphone Les Paul Custom in ebony and compared it to the Gibson Les Paul Custom. I liked the Epiphone so much that I have to double check if it's good enough. As you know, two guitars are never the same, so I'm gonna do one more, the Alpine White, which happens to be my favorite color for the Epiphone Les Paul Custom. The latest generation of the Epiphone Les Paul Custom was introduced in 2020 as a part of the Inspired by Gibson collection, and you can find it in the official website under Original Les Paul. In here we find the 59 Les Paul Standard, the older generation I've just reviewed. I want to do the new ones, the Vino, it's an amazing guitar, the Jerry Cantrell Bone White Prophecy, and here it is, the Les Paul Custom. It comes in 3 colors, it costs $729, Ebony, Alpine White and the Koa. I've already reviewed one in Ebony and compared it to the Gibson Les Paul Custom. I'm gonna link the video above for you to check out. And now on to the Alpine White, which is my favorite out of the 3 colors. Here's the most important thing about the Alpine White Epiphone compared to the Gibson Les Paul Custom Epiphone in Alpine White. The Epiphone has a polyurethane finish, meaning that it's not gonna age the same as the Gibson. The Gibson has the nitrocellulose and it's gonna turn yellow. So if you're looking for a white guitar that's gonna stay white in time, definitely go for the Epiphone over the Gibson. And of course the Epiphone costs $729, the Gibson is $5,000 and even more. So let's assume that you're not a collector, you don't need the absolute best, meaning the Gibson. You're a stage player, you play in small venues. You should definitely go for the Epiphone Les Paul Custom instead of the Gibson. The value for money is amazing. It is well built with decent materials, feels nice, plays great, sounds amazing. In fact, when reviewing the Ebony, I was surprised how close the Probucker 2 and 3 sound to the Gibson pickups. I did not expect it when I measured them, but in the recording, I cannot deny that they are pretty close. The beautiful Kalamazoo headstock returned for the 2020 Inspired by Gibson collection and makes the Les Paul Custom look even better now. Honestly, I can't think of any flaws, I can only think of ways that you can improve it. Most of the electronics are good and I like the Probucker pickups, I wouldn't swap them. The CTS 500K pots are okay, part of the Inspired by Gibson collection. I would replace the 3-way switch from Epiphone, I would replace the output jack, I would swap out the new bone nut with actual bone and swap the bridge. Last but not least, do a proper setup. All of these upgrades are worth it because the Les Paul Custom is already the perfect platform. On to something that was bothering me in my previous review of the Ebony. Let's see the official listing. The new Les Paul Custom is part of the Epiphone Inspired by Gibson collection and honors the 1950 classic design by Mr. Les Paul himself. Which in theory means that the Epiphone Les Paul Custom shouldn't have a maple top, and it says here body material mahogany, no top listed. 50s Les Paul Customs don't have maple tops, they're made out of mahogany. The maple tops came later for the 60s models. I'm gonna go through the specs in a minute, let's document them from the official website for now. Neck, the hardware, electronics. I have already disassembled the Epiphone and I'm gonna demonstrate it for you. Here we go again, one more Les Paul Custom, starting with the mahogany body. Apparently I was wrong, there is no maple top on these. Anyway, mahogany neck, set neck construction, ebony fingerboard, 22 medium jumbo frets, 12-inch radius, 24.75-inch scale length, Kalamazoo headstock with the diamond, Epiphone logo, Wilkinson tuners again on this one, it was a surprise for me. Then we have the new bone nut by Graphtec, Probucker 2, Probucker 3 pickups. The controls are bridge volume, bridge tone, neck tone. The pots are long shaft, raised above the mahogany top, and we got black speed knobs. Measuring the pickups, the Probucker 3 in the bridge position is at 855 k ohms. Switching over to the neck Probucker 2, 790. Middle position, 410. I almost forgot to show you the hardware, but you've seen these God knows how many times. I'm not gonna explain what the Epiphone lock-tone bridge is, but I would definitely replace it with a Shure or a Grover one. Metric, thumb wheel, flathead screwdriver adjustable. It is the one thing that you can improve. I would keep the stop bar though. Double bound body, multiply binding for the top and the back. It has a curved top, pick guard. I like the overall aesthetic of the Alpine white, the hardware and the plastics, and what's important, this has polyurethane finish, meaning it will not age as the Gibson. It's not gonna turn yellow unless you're a smoker or you play in clubs that allow smokers. The Epiphone will easily stay white and fresh if you take care of it and keep it in a case. Before I show you the neck, I've noticed some inconsistencies in the paint and the binding over here. It's not a huge deal, but it's there. Anyway, we have a multiple piece mahogany neck with a set neck construction glued in. The neck is bound, single ply binding with black side dots. The neck binding is okay, I don't see any rough instrument marks overall. The fingerboard is made out of ebony, and I gotta say they chose a good piece of ebony for this one. It is consistent. Usually I see lighter in color pores over here at the last frets. This one is dark everywhere. Definitely one of the best ebony boards that I've seen on Epiphone. Then I check for consistency the plastic inlays, the pearloid inlays. All of them seem fine. The pattern is good, none of them are plain. The frets are not scratchy or overhang, they're good. Even the nut is okay. The new Bone by Graphtec nut is flush with the binding and the headstock. I wouldn't be in a hurry to replace it. The Inspired by Gibson collection in 2020 marks the return of the Kalamazoo headstock with multiply binding, looks beautiful, black veneer on top of that, and the custom diamond, which is amazing. Looks great, I think this is actual mother of pearl, the Epiphone logo as well. Surprise, surprise, both my Epiphone 2022 Les Paul Customs came with Wilkinson tuners instead of the official spec Grover ones. They are just as good as the Grovers and weigh the same, so I don't mind. This is what the truss rod cavity looks like. Two-way adjustable with a 4mm Allen nut, and the cover for it, the traditional Epiphone bell, 3 screws, Les Paul custom written on it, 2-ply. The nut is 42.7mm wide or 1.68 inch, the 12th fret is at 52.5mm or 2.06 inches, thickness at the first fret 20mm or 0.78 inch, thickness at the 12th fret 22.9mm or 0.90 inch, full body thickness at 48.7mm. Here's what the 60s slim taper neck profile looks like. It is rounded off, but not as round as on the Gibson Les Paul Custom. Distance between the pickup rings 58.5. These two measurements differ on the Epiphone and the Gibson. Multiple piece neck with separately glued neck here over here. One big piece from here to here where we have a scarf joint under the QC inspection sticker, handcrafted in China sticker, and these are the Wilkinson tuners. They are absolutely identical with the Grovers. If you want to know more about these, you can check out my Epiphone Les Paul Custom Ebony review. On to the barely visible serial number 2206, made in June of 2022. 15 is the code for Qingdao, China. The factory setup was non-existent. Yeah, it was properly intonated, but I have to adjust the truss rod, the string height, the pickup height, and the bridge and tailpiece. A little bit lighter than the Ebony at 8.71 pounds. Now let's hear it. My thoughts about the Epiphone Les Paul Custom, well, I have already shared them in the Gibson vs Epiphone video, but I'm gonna say it again. I absolutely love the Inspired by Gibson collection after 2020. Surprisingly, I liked the Probucker 2 and 3 pickups, they sound pretty close to the Gibson when recorded. I'm a huge fan of the Kalamazoo headstock that came with the Inspired by Gibson collection in 2020 as well. I like the fact that it has the CTS pods in it, I like the color, I like the fact that it doesn't age as the Nitro. Yeah, I like aged guitars, but sometimes I want a pure white guitar, and this you can achieve with the polyurethane finish of the Epiphone. To sum it all up, for $729, it is an amazing value for money. Plays great, feels great, sounds amazing. The best thing about it, it is a great, actually the perfect platform for upgrades because it's the highest level Epiphone. It already has the best possible wood materials for an Epiphone. You can upgrade the nut, swap out the bridge, do a proper setup. Unfortunately, some of these will probably need some fretwork out of the box. Nothing that a good guitar tech cannot fix. The Epiphone Les Paul Custom is definitely worth the money.